So for today's adventure, we're hiking Snow Mountain Ranch near Yakima, Washington. This is managed by the Cowiche Canyon Conservancy. That's going to be a loop hike about 6 miles. No fabulous views or anything on this hike. It's just kind of a beautiful little shrub step hike. If you come in the spring, you can see wildflowers, of course. First day that I'm taking the stray out off leash without having the girls with me. So I'm hoping that experiment goes okay. I'm relying on it wanting to be with me instead of wanting to be with the girls. So anyways, today's adventure is the Snow Mountain Ranch near Yakima, Washington. So this hike starts off walking across a grassland flat before you start the climb. It's always kind of a beautiful spot. I love the color of the grass this time of year. Like almost a blonde brown. And we're staying straight onto the Cowiche Mountain Trail West as we transition from the grassland bottom, or the bunch grass bottom, into the big sage. So we're about 1.2 miles in. We're hiking the Snow Mountain Ranch Loop counterclockwise. We've just come up the gully bottom, a relatively flat hike. And now we're gonna start climbing the Snow Mountain Ranch climb in earnest. As we get around this corner, you start to gain elevation pretty steadily. So it's slight uphill coming up the gully bottom, and then you got a big climb. So we're about 1.5 miles in. We're gonna stay to the right on the Cowiche Mountain Trail West. I'll give you a quick 360. Hi, Nugget. So this is just classic winter hiking in the shrub steppe. And when I left Western Washington over 20 years ago now, I left so I could have days like this, where you just had beautiful sunny day in the snow. It just doesn't get much better than this type of weather. You get snow for weeks on the east side and just gorgeous views you can see forever. 2.6 miles in, still climbing. The great views out in the valley of the orchards. They're not going to show up really well in the video, but when you're doing this climb, that's what you're looking at in the valley bottom, is lots of apple orchards. And now we'll continue the climb up. So after that 1.2 mile mark, it's just a steady climb. I think you're gaining about 500 feet, 500 to 600 feet per mile. Elevation gain at this time's a little over 900 feet so far. So we're about 3.1 miles. The summit's just right up there. There's a game fence here, and there's a little walk-through point into the fish and wildlife area where you can look down across the upper Yakima Valley. So that's the upper valley. I'm not going to walk all the way through because I have the dog with me. That's the upper Yakima Valley. All right, so we're at the 3.2 mile mark. The true summit's just a couple hundred yards to the east. We're here at the sign that indicates where the connector trail, that the Snow Mountain Loop connector, takes you back down. If you were to stay to the east up to the top, you'd wind up on the Rocky Top connector that takes you over to Rocky Top, if you're familiar with the Yakima area. Anyways, here's the view from the top of the loop, looking out over the valley. Across that fence to the south is the upper Yakima Valley. We came up from what I would consider to be the kind of the Weenus area. Anyways, time to head down. I can't believe we got sun today. The forecast had it cloudy all day. In fact, for the next like 7 days, cloudy and wintry, slurry mix. And we just got lucky with the weather today. Look at this. Stop and sniff. Stop and sniff. That's why I go in front. This hike would take forever. I think we managed to escape the crowds, Nugget. So we'll do one quick tour of the valley with it zoomed in. Hopefully you can see a little bit better detail. We've had about 1,100 feet of elevation gain, I think, on this hike. And there's some good view of the orchards down below. I think that gives you a better idea of what you're seeing with your eye with it zoomed in. Even though I don't usually like to do zoomed in video, I like to do wide angle because I think it lets you see what a person's seeing peripherally. But once in a while you have to do a little zoom. And that's what we're looking at. So 5 miles on our way down, and you just stay on the Cowiche Mountain Trail. We're on the East Trail now. Everything's been well signed and well trodden, so the trail's been easy to follow. So almost 5.6 miles, you hit the Bench Trail, and we're gonna take a right down the Bench Trail, a couple hundred feet, which will take us over to the Riparian Trail. We'll walk the Riparian Trail back to the parking lot. So walking the Riparian Trail, there's a lot of oak trees to look at. Got those bunch grasses on the left. And what I found is anytime you get that blonde grass, when you're using the wide angle on the iPhone, you get a lot of blurring if you watch it like on a big screen TV. I don't think you notice it like if you're watching the video on a phone, but the camera definitely struggles with rendering it correctly. So about 6.4 miles, we're arriving back at the parking lot. I don't have the girls with me today to say it, so I'm gonna have to do it myself. Snow Mountain Ranch loop is in the bag. Get outside.